Bundy's Garage, Bundy here. Hey, excuse my mess over here on the table. I've been doing a bunch of different projects, but today I want to do a review on Castrol GTX Magnatec. I actually saw a video on this online and I was pretty intrigued by it. It claims that the molecules inside of this actually cling on to the metal. Somehow it's magnetic, as it was what I want to say. Maybe it's not, I don't know. In their video they state that you could have this stuff in an engine and 100 years from now it'll still be clinging to pieces of metal on the engine. Now the interesting thing is, I know a lot of engines that are aluminum, the block and the heads, even the pistons are now aluminum. Typically on aluminum block, they are sleeved with a steel sleeve, so it might actually stick to the steel sleeve if it is magnetic. I don't know how it works. If anybody from Castrol is watching this video, a comment below would be great on how this stuff actually works. Some of the claims to fame on the Castrol GTX Magnatec. Castrol GTX Magnatec also delivers superior wear protection on critical engine parts, unsurpassed level of protection against viscosity breakdown, unique synthetic technology to fight against harmful sludge buildup, and high level of fuel economy based on U.S. industry standards. So right now in the vehicle that I'm going to put this in, I have a premium synthetic oil that I'm using in it. So I'll actually put up some figures of the MPG, the miles per gallon that I have right now with the synthetic oil I'm using in the vehicle right now. And then after using the Castrol GTX Magnatec, I will actually put up the MPG and see if it's gone up or down. In no way am I paid by Castrol. I went out and bought this by myself at O'Reilly Auto Parts. I'm not paid by them. This is not an endorsement for Castrol GTX. Like I said, I saw this video online. I was pretty intrigued by it. Some of the reviews I read on Amazon also state that guys have used it and it's quieted their cams down, their lifters down quite a bit. So I'm just excited to see what this stuff can do. But without further ado, let me pour it into a glass so you can actually see the color of this stuff. Into a jar. So there you go. Looks like thick honey. It smells like regular motor oil. I know in some of the newer oils that I'm using, the oil actually smells very, very sweet, very slippery. One of the tests they showed on the video, they actually what looked like a magnet. They put oil on the magnet and then they took it to a cell phone, the screen of a cell phone, and rubbed it on the glass of the cell phone. And they said, look, it doesn't scratch the glass on the cell phone. So stay tuned and I'll show you the results from using Castrol GTX Magnatec. So the preliminary results from the Castrol Magnatec seem pretty positive. Stay tuned. At the end I'll show you the results of miles per gallon MPG. See if it's gone up or gone down since using the Magnatec. But one thing I wanted to show you guys, I'm actually going to play one of the commercials here, and then I'm going to pause the video, or yeah, pause their video I should say, a Castrol Magnatec video, and then we'll talk about it. A couple key points. I'm not ragging on the oil, not at all. I just wanted to share some of my thoughts on it. Anybody from Castrol is listening to this, some of the things you might want to address if you make another promotional video. But let's go ahead, let's take a look at this video, and like I said, I'll pause the video to I'll pause their video to insert my own little comment into how they could have made it better, some of the questions that I have as well.
Cars play a major role in our lives. But how many of us give a second thought to what goes on under the bonnet when we start the engine?
All that rubbing and that pressing can lead to a phenomenon called abrasion. Material is lost from these critical surfaces, and once that material is lost, the engine will never...
Okay, so they're talking about abrasion and within the engine. Obviously they're talking about cylinder rub or cams rubbing, and that is one of the reasons why I put magnets on my oil filters. Because no matter what kind of oil you use, I can talk today, oil you use, there's always going to be that abrasion, some friction. You can't get rid of friction 100%. You can minimize it, but you can't get rid of it. So there will be small metal particles flowing through your oil system. That being said, that is why I put magnets on my oil filters, and I'll put a link in the description below of where you can see a video of where I actually do that, because I don't want those metal particles, no matter how small, rubbing in the oiling system anywhere. I want to capture those particles of metal as soon as possible and get them out of the oiling system, so that they're not causing more abrasion, because basically it's just a compounding effect. You know, you start having a little bit of wear, gets into the oil, that abrasion that's already there is actually going to lead to more abrasion. More abrasion just compounds upon itself.
Run quite as well again.
On a global level, engine wear is one of the greatest motoring problems today. For almost 20 years, Castrol have been working on a solution.
What we've been doing at Castrol is working on very special kinds of molecules.
Molecules that give oil the power to cling to critical parts, even when your engine is turned off. Ready to protect from the moment you turn the key.
The Magnatec intelligent molecules cling so tenaciously that if you left them there 100 years, the molecules would still be there ready to protect.
The molecules cling so tenaciously that they'll be there after 100 years. That sounds bitchin' and all and really cool, but I don't understand how they can know that if Magnatec has not been around for 100 years. Do they have a vehicle that they've used this 100 years ago and it's still sitting on there? Talking to some more guys I know have seen a presentation on this as well. It's not, I thought when I first saw it, I thought it'd be magnetic. It's not. It's something on the molecular level that's actually sticking to the metal parts. But there is also a company called Lucas, and they make, you know, fuel stabilizers. They make transmission stop leak. They make a product called Lucas Oil Stabilizer. They have one for synthetic and non-synthetic. The one for non-synthetic comes in a white bottle. The one for synthetic comes in a blue label bottle. Makes the oil cling better to moving metal parts inside the engine. I talked to an engine rebuilder one time. This is probably 10 years ago now. But he swore by Lucas due to the fact that he had opened up the oil pan on an engine and drained all the oil out, and he came back 2 days later and the oil was still draining out. Some drips of oil were still coming out because the engine had Lucas Oil Stabilizer in it, and it had, you know, caused the engine oil to stay up inside the engine and coat those critical parts. So, I mean, I like what Castrol is saying, but there are products on the market that may emulate what they're trying to do. Like they said, it'll be there for 100 years. You actually have to add Lucas Oil Stabilizer every single time you do an oil change. So, and they never made the claim of it sticking around for the next 100 years either.
And what you can see is real evidence of scratches, of abrasive wear. It's just not evident in the Magnatec cam.
The lab tests look promising. But how does Castrol Magnatec perform in cars on the roads? The best people to ask are the professionals, car mechanics. First of all, the conditions for driving in Moscow are really tough. All those freezing temperatures and constant traffic jams. That's why we recommend Castrol Magnatec to our customers, and we tell our friends, and we use it ourselves because it has features that protect the engine. Castrol Magnatec? Well, constantly changing lanes and braking suddenly in traffic jams and then pulling off again is a serious problem for your engine. But adding Castrol Magnatec reduces the wear and tear.
But not to rag on these mechanics, I'm sure they're great mechanics. One of my I don't want to say one of my dreams, but one of my aspirations, you could say, would be to travel to a different country and interview a mechanic and see what their take is on mechanics in America, what tools they use. You know, do mechanics in other countries find the same problems and issues that mechanics in America find? So I think it's cool they interviewed, you know, looks like they interviewed maybe somebody, a mechanic from Korea, I can't tell. Sorry if I get that wrong. Looks like they also interviewed somebody from Russia. But I'm sure they're getting paid for stating that fact that they use Castrol. And that's not a bad thing. I mean, everybody's got to make money. I would love to see Castrol rip apart an engine. Start with this. Start with two identical cars with the same exact engine. Pull the engines apart, measure all the tolerances inside the engine, put 500,000 miles on it, one with Castrol Magnatec, the other one quality synthetic motor oil. Rip them apart after the test, you know, change the oil at specific intervals at the same time, and see if there is actually anywhere difference inside the two engines. That's what I would love to see. I would love to see them do that. Somebody do it. Mobil 1 did this on a BMW. I think they did 1 million miles. I'll put a link in the description below as well. But if Castrol could take two identical cars, same engine, same oil change intervals, same oil filter, and then, you know, put miles on it, rip them apart, measure the tolerances beforehand and measure them after, that would be very impressive.
What about our drivers? Can they see the difference Castrol Magnatec makes? There's clearly a difference. This part is rough, and this part is smooth.
Well, these two engine parts I've got, one is really smooth. It's, if I touch it, my finger just slips over it. The other one is really, well, it's ridges, and I can actually feel my finger jerking over it.
Looking at the two cameras, this one on the right feels very smooth, while the one on the left feels very rough. And when I use my fingernail to scrape them, I can hear the one on the left is basically worn down, while the one on the right seems brand new. And if
it looks like they gave them part of a cam, maybe a cam lobe, and, you know, they're giving it to these individuals to feel the metal surface, and they're saying, yeah, one feels smooth, one feels rough. They need to show where those cams came from, what engine they came from, what the intervals were on that engine, what oil was used in that engine. I'm a naysayer, dude. I don't believe anything. Oh, that poor dog. I don't believe anybody. I question everything. I trust no one. And for them to just throw those engine parts out, yeah, it's kind of maybe looks a little deceiving. I don't want to say it's deceiving. Looks a little deceiving. Like I said, they should have mentioned where they got those engine parts from, what kind of car it came out of, how many miles were on that, and state a little bit more facts about where they got those engine parts from.
If you're still not convinced, Tony has a final demonstration which will leave you in no doubt about Castrol Magnatec's protective power.
I can show you the effect that Castrol's intelligent molecules have very easily. I've got some abrasive here which I've coated with the actual intelligent molecules that are used in Magnatec. And if I take something perhaps people might recognize, a smartphone, I can attempt to abrade the surface of the smartphone with the abrasive, but the intelligent molecules protect the phone, and no abrasion has taken place.
What's more, there's another great...
What is that abrasive that they just used? What is that little... is that a sanding block? Is that a piece of wood? Is it a piece of metal? I wish they had showed them applying the Magnatec, the Castrol Magnatec, onto that abrasive that they're quote-unquote calling. I mean, that's a cool trick and everything. I don't want to say trick. Maybe they actually did it. I don't know. But tell me what the abrasive is so I can try to repeat it. I have a busted cell phone at home, and I could, you know, get some Castrol Magnatec and stick it on quote-unquote abrasive and slide it across the phone screen and see if it scratches it or not. Let me be able to, you know, duplicate the test results, at least.
Advantage to switching to Castrol Magnatec.
It doesn't really take any time to start feeling the benefits of Magnatec when you use it. It's very interesting because even in a case, if I draw another graph, and I plot wear and time here, when we've tested these molecules, then even if you've used a poor oil and the wear's accumulated quite swiftly, if you change to Magnatec, you slow that wear rate dramatically.
So the benefit of Castrol Magnatec is that it offers instant protection from the moment you turn the key, giving us all peace of mind, knowing our car engines are well protected.
I'm very pleased with this story. I think it's a good story, and I think we're all very happy here that we've been able to work on technologies that bring these kind of advantages straight away.
It's very rewarding to look at the results that we generate here and realise that we've created a solution to the problem of abrasive wear in engines all around the globe. And that solution is available to drivers everywhere.
Okay, so now just going into the credits of making the video. These videos that Castrol has put out are very interesting. And in another video, they show the fact that in the warm-up period, in the first 20 minutes in the warm-up period of a car engine being cold to when it reaches operating temperature for the oil, that's when the most wear occurs. That's what they state in another film, and I'll put a link to that in the description below as well. This is how I feel about it, and I'm not saying Castrol Magnatec is bad. I'm not saying it's good. I'm going to show you the results at the end of this video of the mile per gallon results of the car that I actually put this into. Here in America, the EPA is clamping down on auto manufacturers. They want these vehicles to be able to get 50, 60 miles to the gallon by 2020. The new push is into diesel engines because I believe manufacturers truly believe that they can reach those kinds of miles per gallon with a diesel engine. That's why you see direct injection also coming into play now, because it offers better fuel economy. So the whole goal of a vehicle, how do I say this in a not a fact, but kind of a statement. I pre-warn my vehicles. I'll actually go out there, I'll turn the vehicle on 5-10 minutes before I actually leave somewhere. Why do I do this? Because I want the engine oil to be warm to flowing the best rate that it can flow through the engine to prevent as least amount of damage to the cylinders, to the pistons, to the rings, to the walls of the pistons. That can happen. I want to minimize that the best of my ability. And old school mechanics, and maybe some even new school mechanics, feel the same way. What a lot of manufacturers say, and other videos I've seen out on YouTube say, drive the vehicle. Drive the vehicle to get it up to operating temperature. And where I believe this is coming from is the EPA. They have put so many monitors on these vehicles, so many smog restrictions on these vehicles, that they want the vehicle to get up to operating temperature. They want it to get up to operating temperature as fast as they can, because the vehicle goes into what is called a closed loop system. There's an open loop system in the cars, there's a closed loop system. When a vehicle hits a closed loop system, it is at its, I won't say not maximum efficiency, but it's at its least potential for polluting into the environment. Also, you're going to see you're seeing more and more oils that are thinner and thinner. They're almost like water, like a 0W10, 0W20 that are synthetics. The government has put so many limitations on how these cars need to perform and how they need to meet emission standards, that the only way that manufacturers are able to come up or achieve those miles per gallon is using a thinner oil. I believe that even though the manufacturer is saying that's what you need to use in a vehicle, that truly isn't the oil that needs to be used for that vehicle. Let me explain myself before you attack me and try to stab me and kill me. I say that because they need to reach a specific point in miles per gallon with the government for the car to be released, or the car to be, accepted into the general public. They're going to do that by any means necessary. They're going to use more plastic on cars, plastic intakes where they used to be metal. They're going to use thinner gauge wire inside of electrical systems. They're going to use aluminum body panels in trucks. Ford was the one that first started doing that. But they're going to try to reduce the weight any way they can. Those readings of the miles per gallon, you have to use a thin oil that's going to allow the engine to, move as easily and as freely as possible. In real world environments, like I'm driving up in snow right now and it's 36 degrees out. I don't think a 010 is the kind of oil that you want to be running up in the mountains. Even though your car may call for it, that's not necessarily the oil that you should put in there. And I know I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for this, but that being said, you need to use the oil and have common sense that is best for your vehicle and what it really needs. Are you going to be desert racing? Are you going to be up in the mountains? Are you going to be off-roading in the mountains? Are you going to be by the ocean? Are you going to be in mostly hot weather? Are you going to be mostly in cold weather? Here in Southern California, we don't get a lot of cold weather. There's two seasons here. There's winter and summer. When we're in winter, there's no fall or spring. It's either 100 degrees out, 110 degrees out, or it's 50 at night. So we don't need an oil that, is used for cold weather operations here. So anyways, that was my rant. I'll leave you with that. Like I said, stay tuned. I'll show you the results of the Castrol Magnatec that I've used. Looks promising so far, but I'll post them right here. Thanks for watching. Questions, comments, concerns, you can always reach out to me at bundysgarage@gmail.com. You can, if you found this video helpful or any of my other videos helpful, please consider subscribing to Bundy's Garage on YouTube. At the end of this video, you see more options for other videos. So if you can or if you want, stay tuned. You can watch more of my videos. Follow me on Twitter at Bundy's Garage. And like always, I'll keep them rolling for you. Bundy's Garage, Bundy here. Hey, excuse my mess over here on the table. I've been doing a bunch of different projects, but today I want to do a review on Castrol GTX Magnatec. I actually saw a video on this online and I was pretty intrigued by it. It claims that the molecules inside of this actually cling on to the metal. Somehow it's magnetic, as it was what I want to say. Maybe it's not, I don't know. In their video they state that you could have this stuff in an engine and 100 years from now it'll still be clinging to pieces of metal on the engine. Now the interesting thing is, I know a lot of engines that are aluminum, the block and the heads, even the pistons are now aluminum. Typically on aluminum block, they are sleeved with a steel sleeve, so it might actually stick to the steel sleeve if it is magnetic. I don't know how it works. If anybody from Castrol is watching this video, a comment below would be great on how this stuff actually works. Some of the claims to fame on the Castrol GTX Magnatec. Castrol GTX Magnatec also delivers superior wear protection on critical engine parts, unsurpassed level of protection against viscosity breakdown, unique synthetic technology to fight against harmful sludge buildup, and high level of fuel economy based on U.S. industry standards. So right now in the vehicle that I'm going to put this in, I have a premium synthetic oil that I'm using in it. So I'll actually put up some figures of the MPG, the miles per gallon that I have right now with the synthetic oil I'm using in the vehicle right now. And then after using the Castrol GTX Magnatec, I will actually put up the MPG and see if it's gone up or down. In no way am I paid by Castrol. I went out and bought this by myself at O'Reilly Auto Parts. I'm not paid by them. This is not an endorsement for Castrol GTX. Like I said, I saw this video online. I was pretty intrigued by it. Some of the reviews I read on Amazon also state that guys have used it and it's quieted their cams down, their lifters down quite a bit. So I'm just excited to see what this stuff can do. But without further ado, let me pour it into a glass so you can actually see the color of this stuff. Into a jar. So there you go. Looks like thick honey.